Hello and welcome to a new episode of Talking Snooker with Phil Haig and Nick Metcalf. Once again, talking about the game we all love.
We are indeed on a Friday morning, no less. It's a pretty rare time for us to record. It must be Triple Crown season.
We've written the rule book up again. What's new? Yeah, I mean, it's just magic, isn't it, this time of year? I was thinking, I joked about Christmas last time. We all know that the real Christmas is sort of April, no feeling quite like going in to the Crucible. But there are different periods in the season that are sort of reminiscent of how good that is. And this is one of them, isn't it? Just had the Champion of the Champions, great week in Bolton. We reviewed that in our last episode. Now going to the UK Championship. And I quite like the new system, really. I think it's added a bit more of its old stardust, as I wrote in a piece this week. And also, selfishly for our game, I think it's given a bit more room to breathe again in terms of the build-up. Now, I know, qualifying quite rightly will take priority as well in terms of our coverage, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But I also think it's a good chance to look ahead to the main stages. So we can't wait for that. It's tomorrow, isn't it, as we record, Saturday, and so much great action to come. Phil, we're relishing York, aren't we? But shall we first of all have a look back? You've been at Judgement Day, so I'm going to ask you about that, and you'll take us through that first in a couple of moments' time. But I have to say, bloody loved Tuesday night. I think I've already said Monday a couple of times. So I've got the old Sheffield in my head. That's when it tends to fall in Sheffield because it ends on the Wednesday. This, of course, ended on the Thursday, so it was the late Tuesday night that was just extraordinary. I mean, I don't know about the statisticians. They take note of frames and times of frames, but I'm not sure they take time, much account of necessarily when matches finish.
Hmm.
I don't know if we've ever had seven after midnight. We may have done, but four fives, that sort of thing. But this was just something else, wasn't it? I was just saying, I almost preferred it to Judgment Day in terms of pure drama. I was up watching. It was good for the night owls, I have to say. Although some people did say it's went on a bit late, some of the action this week, so that might be another topic for another time. We're going to rush through this one. But so much happening. Bayou Lu, again, winning, Phil. Brilliant effort. She came back to finish her match. She was 5-3 down to Scott Donaldson. What a finish to win it, which that was brilliant enough. But so much else going on. I don't quite know how Neil Robertson survived against Oliver Lyons. I watched the end of that. Ollie had some big chances, actually, particularly 44 that they had in the decider. Missed a red that wasn't simple, but sort of half ball kind of red, but he'll know he should have got it. And he was well set then. So Robertson got out of jail a bit. As we know, he's gone on to take advantage of that. And then it was sort of Lu Hongyu beating Liu Haoshan, Matthew Stevens beating Martin O'Donnell, and Hei Kwang, another exciting one, beating Anthony McGill in the decider. Zeus beating Chris Totten, another decider. And then, I mean, Wollaston and Joe Perry was like, I don't know, a sort of Shakespearean drama all in itself, Phil. I mean, that's not overplaying it, maybe a bit. I mean, it went to a re-spotted black at the end. It was all kinds of theatre, misses, big sort of moments of what's going to happen next type thing. But it was Wollaston that got the job done. But I'll let you go into Judgment Day. But first of all, yeah, that night, I fully respect those that are saying, by the way, they have different kinds of lives and they get up early and find that snooker goes on too late sometimes. But I say for us night owls and for the essence, maybe in an old school sense, what a night.
Annoyingly, I was in the degree this time because I had to get up super early next day, so I missed it. I woke up to these results, and I must say I was stunned because I went to bed when it was sort of 5-3 Donaldson. I was so impressed that Bay had come back with those string of breaks to win that game, and then caught up with what was going on in the rest the next day. But yeah, that Wollaston Perry match had it all at the end there. It was crazy stuff. But yeah, it shows that these qualifiers they mean so much. People are slogging it out deep into the night just to get to the final round where it actually didn't have so much spice. They're a bit more one-sided in the Judgment Day contests. One or two close ones, but yeah, we were away reasonably early both those evenings, so I'll dive straight into them. I was down at the Mattioli Arena in Leicester. Got down Wednesday afternoon. And I only just got down there before Stuart Bingham had won his match. He raced to a 6-0 win against Jimmy Robertson. Very impressive. And Jackson Page wasn't too far behind him. 6-2 against Hossein Vafai. I didn't see any odds before that, but I imagine Vafai would be favourite for that. So very impressive from Jackson. Jack Jones beat Fang Jianzi 6-3. And then this was the slugfesty, the most slugfesty of any of them. Maguire against Leicester, 6-5 to Maguire. That last frame was over an hour, I think. It might have been 70 minutes. All sorts going on there. Maguire came through. And then evening, the end of the road for Bai, 6-1 to Lasowski. Ryan Day, 6, Anderson Lamb 2. Wu Yizi beat David Liddy, 6-3. And Barry Hawkins 6, Wang Yuchen 3. So, yeah, not loads of drama. That Maguire Slessor game provided us some drama, but there wasn't too much on that first day. But what a strong group of 8 winners that is, first of all. Not many in there that the seeding playing.
Awful for some of those top 16 players already there. And we'll see that with the draw. I mean, yeah, some of the top players, they've got stinkers. They really have. They got like, oh no, that's the last guy I wanted to see come out of the hat. And so we'll come to that. But yeah, really strong in terms of sort of where these players are in the rankings. And yeah, I thought that was a bit devoid of drama on Wednesday in a way. But listen, credit to the winners; they got the job's done. And I noticed you really tipped up that Maguire Slessor to one to keep an eye on, of course, on your social media feeds, and you were quite right to do so. Yeah, brilliant from Bai. I was interested by Lazowski. He doesn't sort of just. I'm not going to go on to Jack too much. We're a bit obsessed with Jack, all of us in snooker, but I quite liked his sort of candid. Well, I struggled to keep myself focused at the best of times, or however we put it. I thought, well, that's he doesn't sort of beat around the bush, but he did keep his focus and got a good win there. But I mean, that's just brilliant. I mean, quite rightly, pretty much everyone in snooker waxing lyrical to win 3 matches. Anyone to win 3 matches in that kind of heightened tension is good. Is good stuff. But that was brilliant. And yeah, most of those guys got the job done. Yeah, really impressive from Jackson Page. You're right. I was saying blows hot and cold. You never quite kind of know what to expect. Bingham, yeah, my goodness. I mean, thing is, I say it's hard to remember. I'm not inside anyone else's head, but I find myself thinking, of course, he still can win. Complete the Triple Crown set. He's had such an extraordinary career, Stuart. And I've asked him about it before, and he said, saying what a dream it would be. And of course, you never know. He's one of those guys. One of those guys. Of course, he's been there and done it. Now got the experience of qualifying. But yeah, just thinking about it now, didn't have this scribbled down, but you've got some great stuff. I know you just said to me off the air there weren't too many journalists there, so that you really sort of struck gold. I think a lot of times. Maguire pretty outspoken. Didn't like the place, did he? I mean, just the pits. I mean, that's a funny phrase. When you say the pits, you're not delighted with things.
No, it was I mean, Maguire's always good value, obviously, and I did say because I know he doesn't like going to qualifiers, and he was talking about being pleased to be back at York, and I said, and you must be looking forward to not playing sort of places like this, and I think he said, I try really hard not to slag these places off, but it's the pits. It's like, how hard are you trying not to slag these places off? You didn't see me trying that hard, but it's good copy.
I did see people pick up on that phrase. Yeah, I'm try hard not to, but it's the pits. That's brilliant. But yeah, I mean, it kind of continued a bit into yesterday, Thursday, didn't it? Really, how many were deciders were there? Just one, I think, actually there again. So yeah, we've had more exciting judgment days, but I mean, you're the one that's there. You tell me. I bet there's no lessening of the tension and that kind of dramatic, sort of clammy sort of feel. It makes it sound so intense there when you talk about it. And but again, you know, a lot of sort of familiar names getting through on Thursday, weren't there? And but yeah, one really close one. I mean, I'll let you talk about it, but Stan Moody will be gutted, of course. But Hey Gui Kwan got the job done. That was nip and tuck all the way. That was a top match.
Yeah, it was really good. And credit to Stan. I mean, he was gutted at the end, obviously, but he went 3-0 and 4-1 down. And to go 3-0 down, he missed the most regulation blue as he was clearing up. And the consensus in the press room was, oh, he's going to lose 6-0 now after that. It was such a heartbreaker. So to make a battle way to decider was really tremendous effort from Stan. And Hay played a really good frame at the end. So he's a really good player. So no disgrace to lose. Sort of I don't know if he'd almost rather think I'd prefer to have been beaten 6-0 than to get all the way back there and then lose at the end. But still a good run from Stan to get there. I think he won 2 matches. And he's looking increasingly good, increasingly impressive, and he's looking likely to stay on tour now, which seems sort of, oh, of course he is, because he's won so many matches this season, but he only won 15 grand, something like that last season. So he had a lot of work to do, and he's done most of it already. So yeah, really impressive. And yeah, the rest all pretty one side. I think the closest one of the other seven was 6-3. Yeah, comfortable wins, it seems. But yeah, you're right. There was a lot of tension, a lot of frames getting close and edgy. But yeah, good wins. I'll run through them. Gilbert saw off Julien Leclerc, the Belgian beast, 6-1. Um, Zintong will come to in a bit, but after losing the first two to Walden, 1-6-2. Matthew Selt, good win for him, 6-3 over Zhu Yulong. Lei Pei Fan, 6-2 against Ben Wollaston. That looked like it was going to take forever, but they sort of stormed to the end there with a couple of centuries. Milkin's really good win after a nightmare season so far, 6-2 against Usur. Holt going strong. He's won 4 matches in qualifying. Very impressive. Beat Liu Hongyu 6-2. And Neil Robertson, arguably the star of the show, the qualifying 6-2 against Matthew Stevens. Two former winners there in qualifying. So, yeah, relatively comfortable wins for most there, apart from Hay, who scrapped all the way to the end.
I've got a little bit of feedback that I think I tend to wax lyrical a bit. That's kind of my style. I'm referring to Robertson as a superstar. People say, well, I'm not sure he came through qualifying, but I think he's a superstar that's fallen on slightly bad times in snooker terms. But I think he'll add a bit of stardust. Of course, he will to the tournament. But yeah, I was I mean, impressed with a few results. Yeah, as you say, Milkin. Sort of where did that come from? A bit beating Zeus at 6-2, really good win. And Gilbert, yeah, it's a funny one, really. There are players you tend to keep an eye on more than others. I think whoever you are. Gilbert's one for me. I'm sure it's the same for you because you know him so well. Of course, Dave, great friend of the podcast, and that was good, very good. And of course, Xiao Xintong, continuing his impressive work since his return from his ban, of course. And he did speak, didn't he, Phil? And I thought that there was quite a lot of, in absolute fairness, I thought those that said there might have been, you were there, you told me, he referred to little mistakes in and little things being done. And some people said that maybe language might be a thing. I mean, his English is not absolutely the best, but I don't know why I'm saying this. You're the man that was there. You tell me the nuance. I mean, I know that, it was good to get a good line from him on that. And clearly a man looking to the future, but a man that also made some bad mistakes and was very much in the wrong.
Yeah, it was good to speak to him. He obviously spoke to Rob Walker on the World Snooker feed, and then he came to speak to me, and Jamie brought him from the BBC in the press room. I think his plan and his manager's plan is to sort of just just sort of stick to the I'm just want to play snooker and try my best and focus on what's to come, which is understandable. But I think they were trying to sort of avoid saying much at all about the past, which I'm not sure how long that's going to work because I think people are going to keep asking him. If he wins in York, he's going to be live on TV and getting asked about this stuff. So not sure how long you can entirely sort of try and avoid these quite sick issues. But yeah, he did say one or two things. It is tricky because his English is all right.
Mm.
It's not terrible.
Better than our Chinese, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think they were just trying to sort of move on from this as quick as possible. But I mean, this is just my point of view. I think it would be better if they'd spoken a bit more openly and honestly once or twice about it, and then everyone else would be open to moving on. But I think trying to avoid stuff is going to just keep the questions coming for a little while. So yeah, he did say a bit of stuff, but yeah, it was a bit. It was a tricky one. There was a lot of questions asked, but not loads to come back. But Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if he wins a match or two in York, then as I say, he'll get asked about it on telly, and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, their media strategy for it is to try and just move on as quickly as possible. But we'll see if that works or not. But yeah, he's clearly, on the table, fabulous. He said a line to Rob when Rob was asking him about his 147s on Q tour, and he he said, "Oh, if I'm playing well, 147, no problem." It was just like that sort of sums up how good he is. Um, but yeah, yeah, it's tricky. There is a language barrier because Jamie did ask him sort of, "Do you want to apologize to anyone about this?" And he didn't. But did he really realize that that's what he maybe he just didn't want to. That's fair enough. But did he know exactly that's what he should have said or whatever? So it is tricky, but I think it might have been more helpful if, he could have had, he's had 2 years to think about this. He could have had a line or two just to say, these questions were obviously going to come. He could have just said, had prepared, yeah, I made a really bad mistake. There were reasons for it. I'm really sorry for everyone for the sport, but now I want to move on. But I think their strategy of just saying as little as possible may not help in the long run.
Yes, I mean that's probably a fair way of saying it. Actually, look, you know how old I'm getting, Phil. I've got enough crusades to fight. I can't be, shaking my fist about everything. But I think the coverage is a bit funny. I mean, I keep seeing words like sensational. I don't think it is sensational. I mean, I think it's impressive that he's in good form, and I think maybe he's playing better. Not even maybe. He is playing better, quicker than most people expected.
Mm.
But I also think constant talk of how sensational and incredible this is. I don't know. I just I don't want to say it's disingenuous, but I don't want to say it's not disingenuous either. It's like, well, how sensational is it really? He won the UK Championship before. He's one of the best players in the game. You know, and I keep, a couple of. I'd say there's been a couple of, congratulations to Zhao on his return, like he's been, on a sort of backpacking trip around, Southeast Asia, discovering himself. He actually got in trouble for doing bad stuff. That should be remembered really. While also, I'm very much a rehabilitation person, so I think second chances are important. I don't think we should put Zhao in the stocks and say, you've been a naughty boy forever and ever. Of course, I think there are times to, like everyone makes mistakes. We all do. Um, this was a bad one, um, really bad one. But of course, I find the language quite funny. I don't know why we're not being more Ron Seal about it. But listen, that's just me. That's just the way I would see it. But listen, Phil, we have got some tantalising action to look forward to, haven't we? My goodness me. I mean, we'll go through in sort of time order and day order, if you like, the matches. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those where you're always going to get some crackers. But my goodness me, we're absolutely relishing this. We're underway, aren't we? Tomorrow, as we record now, Saturday afternoon, UK time, 1 p.m. live here in the UK on the BBC and Eurosport, and of course Eurosport, many other parts of Europe. And check WST for the broadcast options that you'll have wherever you are in the world. Um, Saturday afternoon's all right, isn't it? I mean, Ronnie O'Sullivan, Barry Hawkins, and Sean Murphy, Zhao Xingtong. I mean, putting all joking aside, that is the most double screening bit of snooker I can think of for a long time. There's quite a lot of double screening. You think, oh, that'd be good too. This is absolutely essential to. I mean, O'Sullivan Hawkins repeated the world final of 13. I was thinking, Ronnie's got great career records against many, many players, but he's got great career records against brilliant snooker players. Hawkins is one of those. He's got an extraordinary career record against him. Barry did beat him famously at the Crucible once, didn't he? In that sort of period when it looked like Ronnie might not win one again. But generally, Ronnie's had the better of him, and even in recent meetings. So he'll obviously be favourite. But the question that keeps coming around is, has Ronnie been playing enough? Now, I should say, by the way, holding it up here for our YouTube watchers, I've
Oh,
picked up
you got one of them.
I've got, yeah. You make it sound like there's a holy grail. I like
Well,
that.
I saw it advertised online and I considered buying it and I didn't, but I'm glad to see someone did.
Yeah, me. Bays of Glory. Now, as I understand it, it will be available in various good stockists and probably some bad ones as well around York during the tournament. And a bit more journalistic than the one in the spring, actually, I'd say. But it's quite a good John Parrott line in there. He talks about the rules don't really apply to Ronnie like that. I mean, we know that when he won the World Championship without playing the whole season, but he would just go and win it, the whole thing. I mean, Richard Mann's tipped him to do that in Sporting Life, my colleague, but has pinpointed Richard that it's probably, you would think this, but it's those early ones that are the big danger to him. So we'll see. Sean Murphy, Xiao Xing Tong. Sean playing an amateur in York. That's a familiar tale, isn't it? Well, Murphy's generally had the better of their past meetings. Xiao did beat him on one occasion. The way I thought about this, it depends on Murphy for me, actually, a lot of this match, because I think we almost know how Xiao will play now. I mean, I think it depends what Murphy turns up. If it's a firing Murphy, I think Murphy will win, actually. But if he's not on those standards and those levels, then it'll kind of go the other way, probably, because so it just depends on what kind of Murphy we see. We know Sean often fires on these big occasions, and he's got decent record at this tournament, certainly historically, but we'll see. Ding Junhui Robert Milkins at night. Well, they played at the UK 2 years ago, not a match I particularly remember, but Ding winning 6-4. Had a look back at that, looking at their head to heads. And well, Dominic Dale, when I spoke to him for my Sporting Life interview, said he thought Ding was a decent bet. He's just won a tournament. He loves this event and this event in York. 2 of his 3 wins. I was reminded one of the ones was in Telford. That's when he had the pucker pies, wasn't it? That classic snooker there moment. But he's won 2 of them in York. He likes the venue. As we've been saying, Milkins not quite completely out of the blue, but it was a good win against Zusa, really. He did really well in qualified Milkins in a season which has not been great for him at all. He's hardly had any match wins, really. So, big favourite for that, obviously. The way they're both playing this season, never mind their respective kind of careers. Xiao Guodong, David Gilbert. Well, this is the repeat of Judgement Day in the spring, actually, when Gilbert won 10-6 to make it to the Crucible. We know how good Xiao's been this season. First class, really. Winner in Wuhan, runner-up just last week at the Champion of Champions. He'd have to start as favourite. But there's a good performance in Gilbert on the big stage, I think. I mean, he's been sort of threatening in it. I know you said some funny things to us on the podcast, but I sense the frustration when he joined us recently for the Tony Mea Trophy. But I do think that I sense that he thinks there's a big one coming. So he could be a dangerous customer. I mean, that depends on what sort of Dave turns up. He could be dangerous for Zhao Gudong, I think. Did I call him Zhao Gudong or Zhao Xintong? Which I'm not sure now. I hope they call him Zhao Gudong. But he's got you know this season under his belt that Gilbert hasn't got, frankly. But in saying that, as I say, Gilbert's got quite good experience of these big tournaments. He was to the world semi-final early this year, so that's maybe the one of the most unpredictable ones of that first day. But mouth-watering stuff, Phil. I mean, you can have your say now on that day, and then take us into Sunday. I mean, how can you sort of pick Murphy, Xiao and Tong? I'm interested to sort of see a poll on that. I really would. I wouldn't like. I wouldn't like to know how that would turn up. I'm almost inclined to say would that swing towards Zhao? I don't know, but it'd be. It's such a hard one to call. I think.
Yeah, there aren't many matches where you would even consider more people would be watching the other table than Ronnie, but this is definitely one of them. Certainly, yeah, with intros, see what his reception is like in York, and then how he gets on. I mean, Murphy is such an interesting opponent for him because he's not going to go into his shell or anything, is he? He's going to be Crash Bang Wallop as well, almost certainly. So, and he's going to have to be on it if he plays that game, which I think he will, because Zhao looks so sharp, knocking in so many big breaks. Murphy's going to have to do the same if he wants to win that game, which he does. So yeah, no, it's must see TV, but O'Sullivan Hawkins certainly is as well. And yeah, interesting one at night. Until what, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, you'd make Gilbert sort of relatively clear favourite for that one against Zhao Guidong, but not anymore. But of course, no one would be surprised if Gilbert won. I think it's usually like his long game. If he can get in and he's potting those long reds, then he'll be fine. But we'll see. He didn't sound that confident yesterday, to be honest. He was sort of gone from his chipper World Championship to more sort of, oh, I've not been playing again. So we'll see. Um, yeah, and Ding against Milkins. Yeah, I mean, Ding's favourite. But yeah, Milkins just a class act, isn't he, really? Because he's had a stinker. But Zeus has had a brilliant season and he beat him quite handily yesterday. So yeah, we'll see. Then on to Sunday. Ali Carter, Ryan Day. I had a look. One of the questions you usually give for me. When was their first meeting? Carter v Day.
I'm determined not to get this one far wrong. I want to say 2002, and because I'm so honest, I bloody looked it up. I'd love to lie. I'd love to lie, but it would come back to haunt me. And
Yeah, it was.
I'm saying too many. I'm saying too many Hail Marys already in life for different things. It was the O2 LG Cup, wasn't it?
It certainly was. And I would have been stunned if that was off the top of the dome piece there.
Dome, the dome piece. Wow, come on. It's
Um,
early as well, folks.
but yeah, 22 years ago, they've been going out. But so, yeah, interesting one. Carter's had a weird season, won the Championship League at the start and then not been great since then, really. And Day's not been great, really. He said he hadn't been playing at all, but picked up a couple of good wins in at qualifying. So, hard one to call that. Allen against Page again. Allen's been a bit up and down. Don't know really what to expect from him. Jackson, he got to the final of the Championship League. That seems a long time ago, doesn't it? I sort of forgot about that when I spoke to him. He said, "Oh, it's been a good fit season. I've been to a final." And I was really sort of racking my brains which finally meant, but it was the Championship League. So he is heading in the right direction. Yeah, and that win against Hussein very impressive. Um, and he's the kind of guy who could just get on if he just hits form early, settles, then it's very hard to deal with. So we'll see. But Alan loves it in York. He's obviously favourite. And then Sunday evening is again some double screening for me. Selby Lasowski
Oh
jumps
God,
off the
yeah.
page as an absolute beaut. But I think C versus Wu, CJ Wu
Oh.
against Wu Yizer. It won't get as many viewers as Selby Lasowski because of the names, but what a game that's going to be. All out attack from both, two of the best young players in the game. Um, and yeah, that is going to be a spectacle. So yeah, Sunday evening, settle in with your TV and your tablet or your phone, however you want to do it, but make sure you're watching both.
You're so right, Phil. That is another mouth-watering piece of double screening there. And I mean, people are going to say, quite rightly though, because that's horrible for Lazowski. It's not great for Selby either. I mean, to get Lazowski, that's a bit of a stinker for him. Relatively even head-to-head over the years. Selby tended to win the recent ones. But yeah, Siwoo Yizu, I mean, I suspect it was a longer match. They played on Judgement Day in Sheffield. I didn't really particularly remember it. Well, when I saw it, I thought, yeah, and I even have half memories of us saying we didn't think that would be so one-sided. C1, that one 10-4. But yeah, a lot of history, Ali Carter, Ryan Day. Tempted to say that could be a right old scrap. Could be that could be an early candidate for maybe not a midnight oil, but a potential late one. I could see some good old match play there. Good old match play snooker. And yeah, you're right about Jackson Page. I look back and thought, oh god, yeah, that's sort of forgot that final. Never mind forgetting things from a couple of years ago, forgetting things from like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Um, and he also reached a quarterfinal as well, another tournament. But yeah, Mark Allen, I keep expecting Mark to have a really good tournament run, mostly down to the law of averages. It's sort of not quite happening yet. I looked at the 1 year list, he's 23rd, and for him, that's sort of bad, really. I mean, he's expected to be far higher than that. So, but listen, this could be the time he fires. Of course, he won this, was it, 2 years ago now, so he has great memories generally of the UK. So, first couple of days, absolutely mouth-watering. What a weekend to come. And, well, Monday and Tuesday, so you're not bad either. We'll look ahead to that in a couple of moments' time. We should say here, you are listening to Talking Snooker with Phil Haig and Nick Metcalf. Just the UK Championship coming up. That's all. Not a big deal, is it, Phil? First Triple Crown of the season. We can't wait, of course. We've had Judgement Day. Now we've got the big action to come. And, well, the weekend's brilliant. But so are the couple of days after that. Monday, then, Chris Wakelin, Matthew Sell. Well, this is the longest match I've ever played. I mean, the sample of previous matches is a bit of a right old ragtag of games, really. Salt's won the majority of them and obviously came through qualifying, which will give him a sort of advantage of feeling, like he's had some good quality match snooker under his belt. But Wakelin's a fearsome competitor these days. He looks like a different kind of character when we see him, and I feel he'll really want to cement that with a run in a really big event, a really big TV event. Because I don't sense the wider public really know Chris Wakelin yet. I mean, I know we go down this route a bit sometimes, and I've written it for a column which I might try and mention later. About this tournament and a point you've made before, and many good judges have made that. We wish it weren't the reality that this is the first time people have watched snooker since Kyron Wilson won the world title, but it is, and partly because it's on the BBC. So you get the feeling that Wakelin will really want to kind of make an impression in one of these tournaments. But Selt's dangerous. I mean, he was it the UK turned Judd over not so many years ago, so he's capable of doing it at this stage on these stages. But you probably would fancy Wakelin. Kyron Wilson, Stephen Maguire. I mean, I say it's daunting for Maguire, but I'm not sure he finds anything daunting to see. I mean, he's not that kind of person. But I was thinking he sort of might play with that devil may care attitude and really hit very good Maguire standards that shakes Kyron a bit. But I think that's not really the most likely outcome. I think the most likely outcome is that Kyron just does what he tends to do and just plays like the world champion and wins. Maybe a bit of 6-3, 6-4, but we'll see. Luca Purcell, Jack Jones. Well, Luca's got to look vulnerable, hasn't he? That's the line here. I mean, he's just could not look more vulnerable on some levels for this. I mean, Jack beat him at the British Open this season for one thing. Again, looking through this newspaper special, this Bays of Glory, quite a lot of stuff on Luca there. A bit more from Hendry. I know Hendry's had stuff to say during the ITV coverage of the champion, so did Alan McManus, but quite a lot more from Hendry as well. Although defence from Steve Davis, funny enough, saying he can sort of do what he wants. He won the world title, let's leave him alone type thing. But, he's not been at his sharpest best, Luca, at all. Whereas generally with Jack Jones, I've kind of been quite impressed when I've seen him lately, actually. I mean, he's looked the part in sort of 2 or 3 tournaments. And Gary Wilson, Michael Holt. I mean, again, small sample of matches in their own history of playing each other. Great to see Holt back on the big stage. Loads of snooker people, quite rightly, very pleased. Very popular guy, Michael. So that's smashing. But he won't want to just, I'm here now. This is it. Oh, not that he would look man like that. He's been around too long, Michael. But he'll want to really, give a good impression of himself. Wilson hasn't really pulled up any trees this season. He had a couple of better results, beat Selby, didn't he, just recently? So that will give him some confidence, of course. But he's not really been brilliant. So Michael could have, a lot worse players than Gary Wilson, actually. He could have drawn a lot worse players than that. So that's, if Michael plays really, really well, you never know with that one, actually. But yeah, lots to look forward to. Are you gonna confidently predict a Luca win? No, of course you're not, Phil. No one can.
No, not at all. I think actually with the bookies, he's second favourite for that,
Yeah.
which is no surprise. He's the kind of guy that he could just turn it on, but there's sort of less and less evidence that's going to happen because whenever you've seen him all season and most last season, it's looked really ragged. And Jones is so solid. So yeah, I mean, I don't think too many will be tipping a Luca win there. Obviously, he can win, not ruling him out, but Jones a favourite. And yeah, I agree with what you said about Kyron and Maguire. Obviously, we all know Maguire can win that, but if you just look at it sort of clinically, he's not been winning loads of games. Kyron has been winning loads of games. He should be very clear favourite of that. But an interesting game. Yeah, I spoke to Chris Wakelin the other day. Should be a piece coming up today. he's just super confident at the minute. He's talking so impressively, and he's never reached this stage at the UK before, but now he's got there without having to play a game in the tournament. So it's such an interesting development. Um, but he's buzzing about it. He said he thinks he's going to thrive off it. He's very convincing when you speak to him, and he's beaten a load of really good top players this season. So yeah, he'd be favourite for that. Yeah, I asked Michael Holt yesterday when he came through, because he's sort of similar age to Gary. I think he's a little bit older, but how far they go back. And he said they played each other on Junior Big Break probably 30 years ago. So they go a long way back. He
Brilliant.
promised me to send some footage he's got of that, so that'd be interesting to see.
Wow.
Uh, but yeah, seeing as Holt, I mean, he's down at sort of 90 odd in the rankings, but clearly he's a better player than that. So yeah, if Gary Wilson, as you said, has not had a great season,
We
he's
got
saying
Norman. We
the
got
ranking.
Norman. We got Norman Collier. Sorry for
Oh no, am
tribute
I
for
back? Am I there?
you are tribute to a comedian from yesteryear that we all some of us remember with great fondness. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, if you said to him, "Are you playing some 90 other rankings?" He'd probably be quite pleased. But Michael Hall is a bit better than that. So, yeah, interesting. First time he'll have played on a big stage like that for a while, though, Michael. So we'll see how he gets on. But yeah, some interesting games. And then Tuesday, it's not quite as blockbuster as Saturday, probably, but it didn't start off badly with Judd Trump against Neil Robertson.
Oh,
What a first rounder that is. And I don't know if it's spice really, but those comments Judd made about him being unlucky when he lost to Neil last week in Champions. Neil's done these videos about being cursed. Um, I don't think there's beef there really, but it's nicely timed that they played this game just straight after that. And yeah, I mean, this obviously has been a final before, so when we say, "Oh, this could be a final," there's no doubt about that. Tough one to call, clearly. Judd will be favourite, but I won't be surprised if Robertson won that. John Higgins against Hergo Kwang. Interesting. Higgins has a stinking record in York. Someone who's won this tournament before, but not in York. And he doesn't win many games here. It's just one of those weird things. Everyone has great things to say about this venue and city, and I'm sure he likes York as a place, but his record there is underwhelming. Um, I'm sure he'll still be favourite, but it wouldn't be surprising if he struggled there. Zhang Andra against Lei Pei Fan, probably sort of the most under the radar of the first rounders. Zhang not really been keeping up the form that he showed last season. So really, and then Mark Williams against Stuart Bingham, superb. Williams, he was brilliant. A bit unpredictable at the minute. He says he's not quite the yips, but he says he was saying the odd shot just doesn't really work properly. I'll have to listen back when he explains it, but he just sort of puts a lot of quick ones in that he's not expecting to. But when he's firing, obviously he's still as brilliant as ever. So yeah, fascinating stuff. I don't know if you've got any strong feels for.
you had a couple of bit of Normans there. I didn't quite get. Sorry, sir. I presume you were just asking me there about whether I had any particular thoughts on those
Yeah,
matches.
yeah.
Phil, I mean, I'm very much like you with the Judd Trump Neil Robertson. In terms of, I'm not sure it's spice. Part of me thinks, but how much more does there need to be for it to be called spice? But and the problem with it is they like each other a bit too much, don't they?
Yeah.
They actually really love each other. So it's like you know, yeah, that takes the spice away. But I think that's very contemporary spice, if you like. The last that's a phrase you don't hear every day. Contemporary spice, bloody hell! I'm doing a sign of the cross there for our YouTube audience. I did laugh. I mean, I love Neil to death, but I think I messaged you about it. Yeah, and it was a bit tongue in cheek that video. He was like, "Oh, I seem to have no luck." Now, I tuned in Robertson lines, and about three of the first five shots Neil had that I saw ended up being fortunate. I think he nearly let Ollie in a couple of times in the penultimate frame, but just managed to somehow sort of snooker Ollie. I think snooker players they're all ultimately the same, don't they? As most of us are in life, Phil. Of course, we bemoan what we perceive to be our complete lack of luck in many areas, and completely ignore the good luck we get. I'm terrible for that. I get nothing but bad luck. Me, had two bits of good luck yesterday. Forget that. I'm not having that. That's not count. I'm only the bad luck. I'm terrible for it. But the snooker players, yeah, they all think they're very unlucky, and half the time you're watching the match, you think, well, the evidence isn't saying that. You had some good luck in that game, really. Having said that, of course, he did get some good run, Neil, against Judd, isn't it? But I think Neil's probably. I think you've said this to me. I mentioned. I think Neil's probably a bit annoyed with those Judd comments. I suspect they got under his skin a little bit, not in a dramatic way, but anyway, yeah, fascinating. You're right, Judd favourite, but look, this time more than any other time. This time, if Neil wins against Judd by hook or by crook, I'd like to see him get a bit more praise. Really, if he turns Judd over, but his average shot time is 1 or 2 seconds longer than people would expect, or he's managed to tangle Judd up with some good safety play. Let's say well done, Robertson. Really, I would say.
Mm.
But anyway, yeah, no, not too much to add to the rest. Higgins played Hay last year at the Scottish Open and won. Um, Yeah, I didn't quite clock how particularly underwhelming John's record at York was, but now you say it, does make sense. I can't think of him doing particularly well there. Williams and Bingham, I mean, it's this kind of, I say it's called it contentious. The statisticians, with good reason, I think, do discount um, certain matches, but I think those of us that maybe have less time when we're doing things like pods tend to bracket everything together. If you bracket everything together, it's 10-10 in
Wow.
their long history, Williams and Bingham. So that's I would have guessed it would have been pretty close, and yeah, it couldn't be closer. So that's good, really. That that's hard to call, actually. I think sort of tempted to go Williams, but wouldn't be remotely surprised to see Stewart turn him over. But he's that good. He's a big occasion guy, Stewart. He wants the UK, or he certainly wants a good run at least. Been to a couple of semis, I think, in the past, hasn't he? So yeah, that's the one one of the ones that Williams did not want to see come out of the hat. And yeah, Shang Anderley pay fan. I mean, Shang Fate will be favourite, but he's kind of unpredictable, isn't he? Sort of that phrase blows hot and cold again. You don't quite know what to expect. But I say that one will possibly be a bit under the radar. But those are the ones that sometimes show up the best stories and the best matches. So we'll keep an eye on all of them, certainly. It's brilliant, Phil. Let me just plug my latest Sporting Life column. I'm saying that the season will go up a level. And despite the imperfections of the Triple Crown concept, I do think it tends to work because most fans love those peak weeks. I've had a bit of a look ahead and also a bit of a swipe at snooker fans. How brave am I, Phil? I've had a pop at them, said, you lot, come on, spoilt by TV coverage. And I get the nuance, by the way. Not always room necessarily for dipping into nuance in the column format, but people have said they think that certain matches should be streamed, and people write to me saying their local leagues have all streamed. Why isn't every match in snooker? So I get the sort of nuance, but the top level television coverage, I think, is brilliant. I made the point that ITV last week were on air at just after midday, lunchtime every day for the champion and champions. They're still there to the witching hour, still there till midnight some nights, certainly 11 p.m. most nights. Brilliant, brilliant coverage. I counted up nearly 80 hours on the BBC to come from the UK, so I think it's just going to be brilliant. Quick word, of course, on that. Hazel Irvine and Seema Jaswell presenting. John Virgo, part of their team, friend of this podcast, and friend and colleague of ours, Shabnam Yunus Jewel, much more, even more front and centre than we would have known Shabnam to be in the past. Very familiar, of course, to snooker fans from radio work. And beyond that, a general television work within BBC Sport and radio work. And of course, our Frame podcast. Well, she'll be a central part of the BBC television team doing reporting, presenting work. So loads to look forward to. Anything you're particularly relishing? Just the whole thing. It's just magic, isn't it? York this time of year, Christmas coming up. Will you be going to the markets? And
Uh,
I,
I don't usually have time, but
yeah, so that's a bit rude. Spending come on, Phil. If Dominic Dale has got time to go to the old to go to a few antique horology shops, you've got time to go to York Christmas Market and spend what 12 quid on a coffee or something, or
well, yeah, that'd be nice. I
uh,
might leg it in there down a sort of scorching mulled wine and get back to the press room.
So,
No, that would be nice. I will try. I'm only sort of popping up the odd day, I think. So yeah, that would be nice to pop in because oh, it's a beautiful place. You never hear a bad word about York, quite rightly. It's amazing. So yeah, no, just looking forward to the whole thing. Brilliant tournament. There'll be some shocks, some ones we've looked through there that haven't really considered the underdog win. Someone will. Um, and yeah, brilliant final to come, almost certainly. So yeah, no, the whole thing is always a treat. I was just looking back at Higgins' record as we brought it up. Um, so he won it. He last won it in 2010, but that was in Telford, and then it's been York since then, apart from COVID, Milton Keynes. He's been to three quarterfinals and nothing more than that since 2010. Quite incredible, really. A man of
yeah.
John's stature. He did when it was in York previously. He got to a semi-final way back in 2006. But yeah, just not a venue that works for him. So it's interesting. Obviously he's good enough to turn that round at any point. But yeah, a lot of people, is it more than most venues? It seems to be have you know a dream venue for some. You're thinking about Dinglesham Way, players like that. Maguire loves it there. Um, but then yeah, Higgins the outlier. So it's interesting. But we'll see if he can do anything about that.
Indeed, indeed. I said this before but when I first went to York University decades ago now, there was a pub for every day of the year. They said, Phil. I used to say 365. You go to one every day of the year. I suspect there's probably about two-thirds of that now. So sadly, has the pub trade declined for different varying reasons. But there we go. Beautiful city, and frankly, for us snooker fans, a beautiful event. So do enjoy it, everybody. And if you're going to York, if you've got anything to say on the tournament, talking snooker at yahoo.com or tweet us at talking snooker. We're going to shoot off pretty soon. Let's just say the Women's Masters takes place at the Frames Bar in South London this weekend. 7 of the world's top 10 players are in the field. So we look forward to that. Should be, really enjoyable to keep an eye on that. And of course, after the exploits of Bayou Lu, quite rightly getting a lot of praise and plaudits, even more sort of focus on those big women's events. I think this is the last one of the year, so I wish everyone well with the organising of that. And well, maybe should say any other business. Enjoy Yorkville. By hook or by crook, I hope to make it there myself. So we're just looking forward to the tournament. Before that, I'm off to Portman Road. I was just telling you this weekend for Ipswich, Manchester United. Premier League is back. I mean, this international break, I mean, talk about penance. I mean, how long has it felt? I've forgotten what club football looks like. This hasn't been 2 weeks. It's been about four, hasn't it, in the old head? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, I support a team so bad they play during the international break, treated to a one-all draw at Cambridge. But yeah, no, thankfully these are at an end for some time now, and it might be a bit interesting when the new manager takes over in January. But yeah, stinking stuff. And actually, that I watched that England against Ireland game, and the second half at least was all right. But yeah, get rid of it.
That's your final word, it seems to be. So I look forward to that. But yes, you're right. People will say, "Come on, Nick. Lots of football is there." And just to say, before I'm a bit of you know, tend to be across all the leagues, including down to non-league. But yeah, because in all fairness, a lot of I said before, a lot of those lower league games, even in Barnsley's league, Phil, do get stopped for international
Yeah,
reasons, even in that league. So, but the Barnsley was not one of them. So yeah, lots of other sort of interesting sport going on. But the beauty of the UK Championship is, I know we're biased, this does take its place right at the top of sport. BBC, with their sort of unique power, we're able to sell it across TV, radio, and online. But in the coming days, it will feel like, yes, of course, Premier League football is always a big going concern and will be when it comes back this weekend. But the UK Championship will be right there at the top of the sporting headlines and the top of the sporting bulletins. And things will happen, events, dear boy, events. We don't know what. There'll be controversy, there'll be drama, there'll be those talking points we love. So we'll be very busy in our game. But there's just so much to look forward to from the first Triple Crown event of the season. So enjoy it, everybody. As we say, do keep in contact with us. You off to listen to a load of football managers talk, Phil.
I think that's the plan for the afternoon. Yeah.
And I'm off to to do a bit more writing and just generally to sort of relish what we got to come then live on the BBC and Eurosport. Again, referring back to this newspaper here, John Parrott says any of the top 16 can win it. He can't find a winner. That's the thing. It's so hard to find a winner of these things. I mean, you sort of say a big gun. Again, Dominic Dale said to me he thinks this time it really will be one of the biggest players. They're all so dangerous. And what we say time and time again, we're so spoiled for how many top stars we have in this sport.
Mm.
There's not just one, two, three, four. There's a dozen great names, isn't there? At least.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably even more, there's this sort of line that gets tried. There's too many top 16 players to fit in the top 16. But when you're at the qualifying, you see the players that you're speaking to that come through. It's like that, you know. Barry Hawkins walks in, Neil Robertson walks in. These are top 16 players. They're just not actually in there at the minute. So yeah, and Sing Tong is a genuine contender, as is the two I've just mentioned. Um, so yeah, no, difficult to call. Definitely, I think anyone who's very confident about who's going to win this, that's my dog barking. It might be a bit disingenuous.
That's a sign to go, isn't it?
I think
And I
so.
can do what I normally do, which is mention Animal Magic with Johnny Morris, which is a show that goes back a little while, quite old. Um, I salute you and say thanks for your company, thoroughly enjoyable as ever. And we're back with Talking Snooker at the end of the tournament. So a final goodbye for me. Enjoy the tournament, Phil. I know you had great coverage. We'll enjoy seeing it. And I'll see you after it to review it all.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, plenty to come. I've got a lot more stuff from Judgment Day to put up there. So yeah, keep an eye out for those pieces. And yeah, enjoy the tournament. Speak to you soon. Thanks for listening.
All the best to you and keep your thoughts coming. Talking Snooker at yahoo.com or tweet us at Talking Snooker. These events are to be savoured, everybody. So do enjoy it over the next week. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. The UK Championship in York. Best of luck to everyone involved, all the players, all the officials, all of us covering it even as well. All part of what we hope will be a great production. It usually is in North Yorkshire over the next week. For now, then, with our thanks for joining us once again on Talking Snooker from your old friends, Phil Haig and Nick Metcalf. Cheerio.